Shruti, India's premier magazine for the performing arts, welcomes you to its first video magazine.
Namaskaram to all of you, where I can share some of my experiences of training in a traditional Varnam with a legendary teacher like T. Balasaraswati and K. Ganeshan, her close associate. Since I am very comfortable with the paper presentation, so that I will not deviate or leave any point out of my sight, I would like to read the paper, and in between it will be intercepted with the excerpts from recordings. One or two will be from the olden times. You can listen to Bala's music also there. We are all well aware of the two types of the musical composition known as the Varnam. While Tana Varnam has a predominant place in the musical concerts, Padavarnam has been prescribed specifically for the Bharatanatyam as the piece de resistance in the Margam order. The traditional Varnam occupies the central place herein and is as important as the head for the human body. It is the mainstay of the performance through which a dancer's stamina and skill are adjudged. According to the treatises, the term Varnam is referred to as a mode of singing, Gana Kriya. Technical works have formalized this mode of singing into four types called Sthayi, Arohi, Avarohi and Sanchari. The term denotes the modes of singing by assembling the notes or swaras, a methodology that is still followed. Poet Kalidas also refers in some of his plays this term Varnam as a mode of singing. Hence it could be defined as a musical practice which describes the delineation of a particular melody or raga. Padavarnam in Bharatanatyam format allows equal scope for pure dance, nritta, and interpretative dance, abhinaya. These two aspects are blended beautifully in such a way that the uniqueness of this rich composition is aptly highlighted. The importance of Varnam in the dance repertoire originates from the fact that it was an essential part of the temple rituals and was danced during the procession of the deity at important junctions as part of the sampradaya, though in a limited manner. While in the courts and other occasions, the Varnam was dealt with elaborately by the traditional dancers. Especially during weddings in the ancient past, the traditional dancers were said to have performed 2 elaborate Varnams in their Sadir Kacheris. These age-old facts should remind us of the crucial importance of the Varnam in a Bharatanatyam performance, which should be preserved with their pristine glory and excellence. The traditional Pada Varnams are predominantly based on the sentiment of love, explaining the lady in love pining for her beloved Lord, who is either a patron king or the supreme Lord himself. In those addressed to the divine as the Lord beloved, the underlying current of the Varnam is the search of the Jivatma, the individual soul, to reach the ultimate through the path of love, separation, agony, and finally the union of the Jivatma with the Paramatma. The Varnam is a beautiful amalgam of the word, Sahitya, sound, music, and image, visual enactment, which paves the way for the process of self-realization. The structure of a Padavarnam grows stage by stage and expands tastefully, delineating the inner realms of thought process, aptly fitting the term Varnanam, or the act of describing. It brings out the different shades of the permanent mood, the sthayi, of the composition, while developing the emotional details in a gradual process with utmost propriety or auchitya. Speaking on the salient features of the traditional Varnam is very much close to its methodology and its discipline, found in my own Natya Sampradaya as handed over to me by my teacher Sri K. Ganeshan, son of Sri Kandappa, teacher of my teacher T. Balasaraswati and Balasaraswati herself. Kandappa's style was inherited by him from his father Sri Nelayappa Nattuvanar. Kandappa was the 8th generation artist in the Tanjore lineage. The structure of a Varnam as passed on from Sri Nelayappa Nattuvanar had his rigorous nritta elements added to the jatis in the Varnam. During his son Kandappa's times, he set intense patterns that contained intricate laya nuances underlining the jatis to add a certain fire to the presentation. These were not easily decipherable, and in that way he kept the art of Nritya choreography to himself, and none could play with them. Also in his style, for a student who is not well trained for years in the adavas and further elements of Nritya, will find them rigorous and unapproachable. In fact, Sruti in one of her presidential addresses has said that she dare not and does not have the skill or courage to touch any of her guru's jatis, and admitted that whatever her master taught her in Nritya aspects, she has maintained them with utter faith and devotion till her last. Such was the expectation of most Natvanas of the past, who kept to themselves all the nuances of Laya choreographies. Only by meditating and repeating the same jatis concert after concert, the dancer will achieve perfect sheen and control as per the old belief. But to get an understanding of the hidden Laya nuances, one has to wait and make personal efforts. The Varnam commences with the Pallavi, which branches out in two sections. In the same manner, the Anupallavi also has two segments, with each segment having a rhythmical pattern or jati in between, commencing off with the Trikala jati. The Trikala jati commences with the stamping of the feet in Ushi and switching over to Sama, denoting the beginning of the Edipu or place of start of the jati. The Trikala jati seems to represent the concept of the past, present and future, wherein the dancer is made to cross the realities of her artistic journey. After warming up with Alaripu, Jatiswaram and Shabdam of the traditional order, the dancer gets into form and is prepared to face the vagaries of her artistic pursuit. In that journey, she displays her stamina to reach her goal in the opening Trikala jati. The Natvanas of the past strongly believed in the pattern of setting up the jatis and considered the Trikalam as crucial. Personally, for me, the first and the second speeds in the Trikalam seem to represent the past and the present, while the third speed gears up as though to aim at the future. The traditional setting up of Tishram in between sometimes, which is referred as Tishram Pannuvade, leaves the dancer to face the hurdles and challenges in her artistic path. The Trikala jati, hence, is one which the great masters adhered to firmly in their choreography of a Varnam. Doing away with the Trikala jati or reducing its importance by diluting its structure or incorporating new ideas in the rendition of the syllables are bound to be considered as against the concept of the traditional masters who gave us this art. The logical sequencing of the jatis by the great masters in the order of Chatushram, Tishram, Mishram, Khandam and Sankirnam has been the traditional approach of many of these veteran teachers, including Kandappa and his ancestors, according to my Guru Shri Ganeshan and my close associate Shri Ramaya. Both my Guru in vocal music, Professor B. Krishnamurthy, and the respected veteran senior associate of Shruti magazine, Srimati R. Vedavalli, attested my view of the perfect thought process of the Laya experts of the past, which I wish to dwell upon now. The Chatushram, the four, or the Sarvalaghu, forms the base of all rhythms and comes first. Deducting one from that comes to the Tishram, and the Mishram or the Mishritam is the mixture that happens with these two together, thereafter proceeding and arriving at 10 by getting blended with the previous two, 7 and 3, which is split into 2 to set the 5 Khandam, the cut or the split variety, and finally culminates into 9 by the compounding of the first 4 and the last 5 to complete the Sankirnam, which we all know is a later innovation said to have been created by none other than the great King Mahendra Vikrama Pallava, who was even attributed with the title Sankirna Jati, among many others, for his multifaceted accomplishments. The above-mentioned arrangement of the jatis is a crucial factor in the traditional Varnam format. In my own Sampradaya, each of the jatis have a different edipu or commencement, depending on the tala of the Varnam, and the confirmed arrival on the beginning of the Sahitya or lyric. In this practice, it becomes a test every time for the dancer and the orchestra to conclude the Jati rendition to perfection in a joint effort. Especially in a traditional style like mine, the Sahitya will be sung along the Jati to exhibit the grip and perfect balancing of the rhythm, music, and the dance rendition. The ending on the precise note, Akshara Shuddham, maintaining a perfect Kala Pramanam by both the dancer and the dance master, display the total skill of the group. In short, the traditional Jati or the Tirmanam as it was referred to in my style, because of its definitive determined pattern, never adopted an approach where the conductor begins the Jati from the Sama for all types after the musical rendition is stopped or is silenced. On the other hand, maintaining these aspects enhance the rigorous nature and technical expertise of the old school of thought in the Varnam choreography. Such rigorous approaches are hence avoided due to its complexity and are sidelined for no fault of theirs in the dance scenario of today. Coming back to the Trikala Jati, there is always one pervading shollu or syllable recitation that travels through the entire structure of this variety. There would not be sudden incorporation of a different shollu halfway through the Trikala, and all the display of the interchanging rhythms will be done only with this specific shollu. The same shollu will also occupy the Kuraipu or the reduction segment, going towards the final stage. Mostly it will be only Tattaitaha Adavu that will be used for the Trikala Jati, which is a test for the dancer's stamina in Araimandi or basic posture. There was no space allowed for space covering Adavus, as it was considered to dilute the basic stance and focus on the one Shollu and one Adavu concept. In this way, the dancer's concentration is put to rigorous training. Such was the process of disciplined training methodology in the old schools. The endings or the Aridi, again a definitive finale, will be crisp and sharp. The olden day choreographer never indulged or wasted their energy in showing off their skill at such junctions. In my style, Kandappa and Ganeshan kept all the nuanced calculations of each Jati in an internal structure, never exhibiting the calculations openly, whether it is Tishram or the others that follow. The beats of the variety, be it 3 or 5, will be shown in a flash at some point during the Jati rendition. The totality of the counts from the Edipu to the finish that coincides with the music would be divisible by that particular Jati calculations. This I could find out by myself after many years of my training. Ganeshan would simply say dance, and there was no way of knowing these details of choreography from him. Similarly, in the Tishra Tirmanam that follows, the Tishram is set by the Mridangist, referred to as Tishram Amartikirade, at the given junction of the Tala and Sahitya before the Edipu, and there is no open show of recitation like Takka Taddin Takka Taddin Takka Dalong Kutak. Those things are never there in Tishra Nadai by the conductor. Whereas in the traditional format, the Tishra Edipu is announced as Tarataka Talankada Dingennatum in the higher speed, overlapping the Chatushra beat maintained in Sarvalagu by the dancer, accompanied by the music in the same mode, and ending with the Sahitya Edipu appropriately. This is again a tricky approach, and an on-stage presentation of this with accuracy and perfection is a task. My guru used to train the Mridangam player attached to our school in the different jatis months before a performance, as he himself was an able Mridangist. The percussionist will play along as well as in cross rhythms, which is again a challenge for the dancer to maintain the Kala Pramana Shuddham. I will play 2 sets of jatis for the Trikala and the Tishram, with both live and recorded music from performances. The first one is a performance recording of mine done on January 1st, 1973, the day my teacher received a Sangeeta Kalanidhi Award at the Music Academy. I accompanied my father's lecture on the compositions of Maharaja Sri Swati Tirunal that was held in front of an esteemed galaxy of Vidwans and Vidushis and the Travancore royal family. You can hear a little bit of my father's announcement, and Ganeshan leading the orchestra consisting of M.S. Ramadas, K. Ramaya, Kanchipuram G. Ekambaram, and Hariharan. This Jati is Ganeshan's choreography. The second is a clipping from Balasaraswati's concert in the mid-60s, in which you can listen to a different Trikala Jati, which is a Kandapa choreography. But you can do this also. The next one is a demonstration of a Tishra Tirmanam with the live accompaniment of Venkatakrishnan and Balaji. This is a composition of my Guru Sri K. Ganeshan. Manayan meedil layil moha manayan meedil inda velayil moha To maintain the highlights of the Kandapa Bani by adhering to its details, like the unique feature of the musical accompaniment to the jatis when it is in progress, and the maintenance of the tala all along. There is no stopping of music and just keeping quiet without tala. This is a test to the skill of the conductor as well as the singer, as both have to be very precise in their area of execution. The Nritta portions of the Varnam, especially the jati patterns, were done purely with Nritta hastas, and the Abhinaya hastas were not incorporated at any point of time in their traditional setup. All the 5 jati tirmanams are performed before the Muktai section, and the order of the jatis, as I mentioned before, have never been deviated for any circumstance. The first part of the Varnam, which gives equal importance to Varnanam, or description of the central idea, has to be dealt with ample corpus of interpretative Abhinaya improvisations that should blend well with the lyric and its musical exploration. In fact, it is like writing an elaborate commentary for the lyrical content that will require sumptuous rendering of the different ideas. The dancer will have to explore this area with complete grip in the delineation of the sancharis, expanding with monodharmic approach, aligning with the musical flow. The innate musical sense and proper skill in music will enhance the scope of this area. The hand delineations begin with simple straight hands to explain the direct meaning of the lyric, and then they gradually are developed according to what Kalidasa said in his Malavika Agnimitram, in his verse Angaihi Antarnihita Vachanehi, etc., explaining the process with the bija, ankura, and other different stages, which exactly correspond to what Balasaraswati established in the realms of Abhinaya. All the while in executing the Abhinaya, the dancer must keep up the underlying laya element in her physical frame and execution. After the Pallavi and Anupallavi sections, the beginning of the Charana section will be taken up in some Varnams, and more particularly in Swarajatis, which occupy the same status as the Varnam, in a brief refrain. Like in Mamohalagri Swarajati, you can say da 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 pa da ni ni da pa maga, and also in Hussaini Swarajati re 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 ga ma pa ma ga re ni sa re ga ma pa ma ga re sa. In these sections, the Swara segment will be elaborated with Nritta elements using the 5 jatis with inclusion of Korvais and Tattamette. This delineation is known as Ittukadai or Uttukadai Swara Sahitya, literally meaning the exclusive or highlighting segment or the side extension in the traditional treatment. In the same way, its corresponding Sahitya can also be improvised to a certain extent before the dancer proceeds further to the other Charana Swaras and their respective Sahityas. The employment of Tattamette features in the Charana segment only in Kandappa style and were never included in the Purvanga of the Varnam. The scope and the usage of the Tattamette were never exploited beyond a certain limit, even if the Sahitya could be stretched with further nuances in order to stick to the mettu of the Sahitya and to highlight its musical quality. Same is done with Swara segments also. While setting up the Adavu patterns, care was given to compose the Adavu orientation in such a way that the Swara mettu clings closely to the Adavu execution. A brief example to show the Tattamette setup, which leaves the Sahitya with certain Vishranti or leisure to enjoy its blending into the musical frame will be presented now. There is possibility here to include as many nuanced varieties of Tattumittu. Whether it will culminate into any aesthetic enjoyment visually is a matter to ponder. I will now ask Srimati Sushama to demonstrate one example for this. From Mamo Galakiri, the last Charana Sahitya for the Tattumittu.
மானே என் நிராசை சுகமடி ஆடவருவது சதமா எண்ணுவது பிசகடி மானே என் நிராசை சுகமடி ஆடவருவது சதமா எண்ணுவது பிசகடி சூதோ இது போதாகிரும் தாமதமெனவேதோ மாலை வேளையே சினதாலதாபதிதாலாபமா இதன தேகை மதியினால் உனே கூடிய காலபலமோ மானே என் நிராசை சுகமடி ஆடவருவது சதமா.
Coming to the final Swara segment called the Makuta Swara in the Varnam, there is usually the delineation of a particular line of Swara to employ the different Poyyadavu executions, the false ones, the adavas that are devoid of straight stamping of beats. And this is referred as Poyyadavas in Kandappa style. To display such a novelty and variety, and finally the same line resulting in a Korvai pattern to proceed towards the conclusion. A sample of this will be presented by Sushma from the Kamas Samini Rammanave Varnam. The Sahitya for the Makuta Swara section has never been performed in Kandappa's tradition, as the Swara rendition was meant to be like a grand finale to the compact, rich format of the Varnam composition. The ending Aradi, which I mentioned earlier as being brief and crisp, were usually done in 3 or its multiples up to 9 in the second part also. And all of them are repeated in the same similar manner and never differed from one another within the same setup. Like for example, or like that. There will be no extra fittings for the Aradi by way of ornamentation. The Varnams of the Tanjore quartet are timeless gems that give the dancer the richest experience through their content and musical excellence. The high aesthetic quality of their lyrics provide the dancer with ample scope for Bhava Bhinaya. The lyrical content, having limited words, allow a vast space for manodharmic elaboration of Abhinaya elements and to develop resourceful musical aspects. Hence, in the past, the mainstay of a Bharatanatyam performance was the treasured Tanjore Varnams. This is still maintained in the Kandappa Balasaraswati Sampradaya, the only other two Varnam composers in the list being Maharaja Sri Swati Tirunal, a close contemporary of and patron of Vadivelu, and Sri Kunnakudi Krishnaya. I have tried to present whatever I could based on my own analysis and observations on the works of the veterans of the Tanjore lineage, apart from my personal interactions with the doyens, Shri K.P. Kittappa Pillai, Sri Subbaraya Pillai, my own Guru K. Ganeshan, and his disciple Sri K. Ramaya, the only living legend with us. I have gathered an insight into the subject matter of my presentation today with several inputs given by my respected father during his times. He remained as a golden link from the past era of the grand veteran masters and traditional dancers, many of whom interacted closely with him in the artistic sphere. I conclude my presentation by offering my hearty thanks to Sruti and the co-organizer, Sruti Apsaras Arts. Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Nandini, you were talking about that poi adavu. Can you just ask her to demonstrate so that it becomes clear as to what was the poi adavu within that structure? So do we understand that where you don't stamp the feet?
The beats are not there for all the movement.
The emphatic stamp.
Wherever there is, it is very minimal, unlike in the regular adavu structure. முதல்லேருந்து ரெண்டு மூணு பொய்யடவு பண்ணு. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பொய்யடவுலேருந்து தேய் தேய் தத்தா தேய் தேய் தத்தா தேய் தத்தா தேய் தேய் தத்தா தேய் தேய் தத்தா தேய் தத்தா தேய் அடுத்தது தேய் தத்தா தேய் தேய் தத்தா தேய் தத்தா தேய் தத்தா தேய் தேய் இது பண்ணு தேய் 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 தத்தா தேய் தேய் தத்தா தேய் தேய் தத்தா தேய் தேய் தத்தா. There are a whole lot of 18-20 varieties like this, which are added wherever there is this picturesque beauty is required. That was what was available with the olden time people. So they used this for some variety and novelty.
In a way,
usually it is in Makutaswara section, and sometimes in the Yathakada section we can see it.
In a way, it adds to the Valinam Melinam of the imagery plus the oral and visual.
Yeah, both.
Subscribe to Shruti's YouTube channel to stay connected to the world of performing arts.